you get to be you? I know you had a mom and dad, I'm not talking about that. But how did you get to be the personality that you are today? Well, there's no question that there are some things that you probably didn't have anything to do with, like genetics. We're born with certain peculiarities, I suppose you'd say, idiosyncrasies, but most, 99% perhaps, I'm going to get into statistics, it's not like the news media, but get into statistics, but the 99% of why you are the way you are is because of what you've learned. You've learned from the very beginning to be you. You've learned to speak the language that you speak. There was a time when if you said dada or mama, people went totally bonkers. There was a time when if you took a step, somebody went, oh my God, she took a step, look. There was a time when you couldn't dress yourself, you couldn't read, you couldn't write, but you can now because you learned to do that. You learned to speak the language you speak now, or the languages. You learned to dress yourself, you were potty trained, you learned all of this stuff. You became you because you learned it. You learned you. And that's what I've been talking about, this chemical core, because when your brain is activated, which is 24/7, when your brain is moving, chemistry is moving, and you're learning things. And you are who you are today because you've learned. Now, I've used the words automatic pilot because so much of what we do, much of the way we respond to our lives, the things, environment that goes on around us, is just automatic. I mean, we don't think about breathing. And if somebody says something or does something to us, we generally have a response fairly quickly because we've learned that response. The brain can be educated. The brain is educated. And therefore, your life manifests your learning. Now, I'm suggesting that you can learn differently. You can learn to speak another language if you really wanted to. You could learn to do anything that your brain is capable of learning. And to settle for mediocrity, to settle for, well, that's just the way I am. It's just almost a sin. We cannot do that. We've got to continue changing and growing and learning if we're going to become, You may say, well, I don't want to become. I'm satisfied with the way I am. Well, okay. I told somebody the other day, the biggest sin, I think, of my life down through the years has been settling for, just settling for. Well, that's good enough. Well, it may be. So if that's your mentality, okay. I mean, I'm not judging you. I'm just saying that there could be so much more that we are capable of, so much more joy, so much more happiness, so much more everything good. And so I think we need to be conscious of why we are the way we are, why we say what we say, do what we do, feel what we feel, and why, here's the thing I'm saying, why we make the decisions that we make. If you think about it just for a second now, your decisions and my decisions brought us to this spot we're at right now. I'm sitting in this chair right here. I was thinking this morning, should I do the Introverting Introvert up there on the porch or out in the yard, or riding on my lawnmower, or what should I do? I made a decision, and decisions brought you where you are, and actually made you who you are. Your decisions, your choices. And today, so often, it seems like the crowd mentality, the partisan mentality, I call it. We're not thinking, we're just yelling and following, and we need to do better than that, I think. So, your thinking was learned, and there's more to learn, much more. And your decisions have brought you where you are, and your decisions are based on your thinking, which you learned how to think. And that's really the way it is. So we need to think about what we think about. We need to think why we think that way, and make some changes where there needs to be changes. Let's start doing that. Let's live the better life. Better than it is now. It's good now, isn't it? But let's do it better. And don't forget I said.